On today's show, you may recognize our guests from such bands as Beautiful Creatures, Quiet Riot, and Hookers and Blow, who, by the way, have recently released their self-titled debut album, which is out right now as we speak. I am talking about Alex Grossi. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, buddy.
How are things?
Happy to be here.
Nice. How have things been going since you guys released the record?
Well, we released it, digitally just on Friday. So far, so good.
Heck yeah,
Haven't got any. Yeah, it's gotten really positive reviews, and I'm really excited for the physical to come out because the artwork's really cool, and getting a lot of requests to play shows, and it's been received. People have been waiting a long time for this thing, and we've been waiting a long time to put it out. It's the delay was totally due to the pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah, the actual factories that make the CDs and the vinyl shut down, so we had no choice.
Yeah. So when are you expecting the physical copy to come out?
They're ready to be shipped on, I think, August 13th, something like that. So it's all done. It's all in the pipeline, and it's available for pre-order now.
Nice.
So.
Okay. So I gotta ask, because it's been about 20 years since like you and Dizzy started this band. In the musical landscape that we live in, right? Did you ever think you guys on this day would be like releasing a record in 2021?
No way. We had no idea what we were getting into when we started this thing, and it just grew legs the way it did. And I thought we'd probably do like a year or two worth of shows for fun, and that'd be it. But it kind of took on a life of its own, really.
Yeah, definitely. I have quite a confession to kind of make.
Okay.
I know obviously Dizzy being in Guns N' Roses, and obviously when this thing started, he played some Guns covers, obviously during some shows. I remember I went to it was a Halloween show, and I remember going and not knowing who Hookers and Blow were at the time, because my buddy was obsessed with this girl that was in the opening act. And I remember seeing the band, and I was this jerk in the front screaming out to play November Rain. And I remember
there's one of those guys at every show.
I know, but I felt like now I feel so bad for doing it, you know what I mean? Because I was like, I'm that jerk, right?
Dude, no, the ultimate is Freebird, because we actually did a rehearsal and learned Freebird note for note, all 9 minutes of it.
Oh wow.
So now when some asshole says Freebird, they get Freebird 9 minutes of it. So we're prepared. Yeah.
No kidding.
And actually, when someone yells November Rain, we go, well, we don't know that one, but we know another long song. Boom, Freebird.
And I think that's what he said to me. I think at the time, he was like, we don't know that one, but we're playing another one. And
exactly.
I was like, oh, okay. Sorry. But
yeah,
I just always remember that memory and just being like, oh man, like there's got to be tons of me.
No, every night there's always, where's Axel?
Well, yeah, that one's
Frankie.
Yeah.
Well, but you know what? We've slowly we've phased a lot of that out, and it's kind of become its own thing now. So that very rarely happens nowadays.
Yeah, that's badass. I got to be honest. I'm listening to all the songs. Great song selection, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
From beginning to end, like a lot of cool tracks. But one of the ones that kind of threw me off, and I wonder if you've gotten this, is the Beastie Boys cover.
A lot of people are like, why that song?
Well, I was gonna ask, so how did you guys like end up choosing that track, and who fought to sing it?
Well, that's Najee. That's Diddy's wife singing lead vocals.
Okay.
And the background vocals, I don't know if you're familiar with the show Counting Cars.
Yes.
That's Danny Coker and his band, the whole cast of Counting Cars singing backup, because we did it at his studio.
Oh, no kidding. Awesome.
Yeah. So, and we play at Danny's club, and we used to close the night with that song, and Danny would always get up and sing with us. So we had him do it in the studio at his studio. And that's mainly why we did it, because it was always a staple in the live set. I don't know how it translates on the record. People are entitled to their opinion. It's definitely a 2 a.m. when everyone's drunk kind of song to play.
Right,
it's not something you put onto in headphones to relax,
No, definitely not. It's always been one of those songs that you want to party to.
Well, it's a weird song, because if it's just a drum machine, guitar, and them, that's it.
Okay.
And it's not really a band playing that. It's all program fake, really kind of Neanderthal program, fake drums.
Wow. Okay.
And we did it. No, that's not an insult. That's like very, very basic. And to
Yeah.
have a live drummer play like that, like to play like a machine, is weird. So we tried to put a little more swing and swagger into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
Definitely.
I think Rick Rubin would even get it. What I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a
Yeah.
cool cover. Like because here's the thing. Like I always felt that when you do covers, right, you're supposed to kind of take the song, and I get you have to be true somewhat to the original.
Right.
You kind of have to make it your own. Because I mean, isn't
Yeah,
that
of
the
course.
point of covering a song?
Well, yeah, you also want to, yeah. I mean, if you look at what GNR did with "Live and Let Die" and "Knocking on Heaven's Door," and you look at what Quiet Riot did with "Come On, Feel the Noise."
Yeah.
I mean, it's that. You can recognize from the original, but it's their version of it, for sure.
Definitely.
Or what David Draymond did with "The Sound of Silence." I
Amazing.
mean,
Yeah.
yeah, that's. I mean, what we tried to do the best we could to pay homage and also do our own little thing, like No Quarters, our own version of No Quarter, but it definitely still has all the key parts from the Zeppelin version.
Which I gotta say, I loved what Dizzy did with that song, because that is actually one of my favorite Led Zeppelin songs.
Mine too. And that's just me, Frankie Banali, and Dizzy, the three of us. That's it.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. How was, like, going into that? Like, did you guys have a lot of a lot of tracks with Frankie on it, or was that really the only one? Because I know he was sick
No.
for a while.
Yeah, he did. He recorded "Trampled Underfoot" and that one with us in between chemo. He timed out his chemo treatments so he could go in and record it. So he wasn't too weak. You'd never know he was sick when he recorded that stuff, though. You'd never know. And as far as other tracks go, for Quiet Riot, we have a bunch of his tracks that he left behind for us to make new music with. So
Okay. Any chance of that in the future coming out?
absolutely, we actually just debuted a new song called "Rock and Peace." That's Frankie on drums, myself on guitar, and Rudy Sarzo came and played bass on it. It's a tribute to Frankie. The song was actually written by Frankie for Kevin, and it just sort of sat around. And we went in with Frankie's drums and kind of redid our parts. And we didn't release it. We just debuted it on Rudy's podcast, and it'll probably be on the next record when it comes out.
Okay. Trying to think. Going into the album, how did you guys decide? Like, because I know you've covered like lots of songs. How did you decide what covers you guys wanted to do? Was it kind of like a democracy kind of thing? Or was it a lot of it like tracks you've already played live?
It was about 50-50 because you had Ziggy Stardust and Rocks Off and Fight for Your Right. Those were songs that were in the set. And then you had Shaken, which we never really played live, and the Body Count track that half the guys never even heard.
Yeah, that's another one too.
We learned that in the studio, literally put that together in the studio. So it was 50-50, but then, and Under My Thumb too. We never really played that live. We just built it in the studio.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, American Girl is one other one we used to play live that we adapted into the studio format too. The Tom Petty cover.
Which is an awesome song, definitely, for sure. What covers didn't make the cut?
Well, I did a version of Eruption by Eddie Van Halen, and I called it. I can't even remotely play it well, so we called it Implosion. And I wanted to put it on there, but after Eddie passed away, I felt it might be a little too soon.
Yeah.
So that'll be on the next one. And I think if Eddie heard it, he'd think it's hilarious. I mean, it's a joke. It's tongue in cheek, much like a lot of the things that Hookers and Blow does. Don't take us too seriously,
Yeah, you guys are just having fun.
Dude, it's all it is. It's the less you care, the better the show is. And we're gonna be late. We're gonna be late. We're gonna be late.
Yeah. Which is something that's kind of like rare. I think in rock today is just.
Well, it's absolutely
fun.
yeah. Just yes, it's not. I mean, everything we were taught to do, we're doing the opposite in this band, and it seems to work. And I mean that's we're not. We don't even have a website. I mean, we have some social media, but I mean, we're just off the radar. We're just, we show up and play, and we have a logo that a lot of people, especially as of the late, won't put on their marquee, but we'll just still, we don't care.
Yeah.
Okay. We're still Hookers and Blow. The shirt's still, at one point we had a 45-foot bus with our logo on the side of it. So you won't call us Hookers and Blow. Well, there's a 45-foot bus blocking your entrance that says Hookers and Blow. Deal with it. That's the attitude.
And that was like I remember when I first heard that name, I was like, man, how are they going to get away with being called Hookers and Blow? Like, I always wondered.
We've had the like with corporate. We get hired to do some high money corporate stuff. We can't be Hookers and Blow. But we trademarked we own the name. We trademarked those 3 words. We
Yeah,
own it.
that's
you know.
awesome. Yeah.
We trademarked it in 2008. I mean, the trademark's still good and we renew it, but I don't know if that would fly in 2021. I don't know.
Right. You know? Well, you know, people have to have a sense of humor nowadays.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to get canceled.
Yeah, I know. Cancel culture, like that, is just a terrible thing.
Yeah. Well, I don't even know how that would really affect us. I mean, how can you cancel what's already never really happened? We're not even really a band.
True.
You know?
But I mean, people will find any excuse to, to be offended.
Well, I got an email from a guy, saying we should change our name because we're promoting the opioid crisis and human trafficking. Now, last time I checked, cocaine was not an opioid. 1, 2, hookers, they're their own boss. I'm talking about not people being kidnapped and sold into sex. I'm talking about like your old fashioned, I think of like if you read that deep into it and get that offended, come on. I mean, you're trying too hard.
Well, that's a thing. That's a thing. It's like give up. We're
look at us. We're not. How seriously do you think we're taking this?
Right.
I mean,
so speaking of Frankie, because it's going to be 1 year next month.
Yes.
That Frankie passed away. And looking back, can you like reflect on Frankie? Like, what is some of the great memories you have of him?
They're all great. I mean, I was in that band with him consistently.
2006, right?
2004.
Okay.
And I started playing with Kevin Dubrow in 2003.
Oh wow!
In his solo band. So I've been working in that organization for almost 20 years.
Wow.
And Frankie, he was like a father figure / big brother to me the whole time. He wanted me to be the best version of myself that I could be, and taught me a lot about not just music but life. Yeah. He was a great guy. I miss him every day, and I'm just glad to be able to help carry on his legacy. And I mean, it sucks. It's a big void, professionally and personally, but it just brought the little family closer together. And it's horrible the way he went out, but I'll tell you one thing: he fought so hard. It was very inspiring.
Yeah.
I mean, he was given 3 to 6 months to live in April of 2019 and made it all the way to August of 2020.
Which is unbelievable, because I remember the first time I ever heard of pancreatic cancer was Patrick Swayze, and that was and he suffered with that. So it's no joke.
And when they caught Frankie, it was at stage 4, and it had already moved into his lungs and all over his body. I mean, they're like, you're done. And he didn't mince words. He came out, so I have stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and there is no stage 5. This is it. And it's, it was a crushing blow. It still is, but the way he handled it and the way he was so transparent and with such grace and with such courage, and to raise awareness through the PanCan network, I really respect that. I mean, a lot of guys would have just given up, and he fought right to the very end. I mean, when he told me, let's put it this way, he called me and said, I'm fighting cancer. And I said, well, then if you're fighting cancer, then I feel bad for cancer.
Yeah.
If you're, because he was that much of a fighter. So, but yeah, he definitely was very inspirational. Even if you hate the band or don't like the band or whatever, you can't deny, how he handled it. Yeah.
Because I mean, his, and you can see, because with Quiet Riot's career, they always fought for everything. And, and it makes sense with him and that fighting spirit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you can even, and if you remember, obviously you remember the documentary, Well, Now You're Here, There's No Way Back.
Yeah.
I never understood, because it's so easy for people to dismiss bands once it's reached a certain time or whatever.
What's the heyday is over,
And I never realized how much that band really meant to him.
It was his baby. I mean, he kept even during the 90s when no one cared at all. Him and Kevin and him as the manager of the band, he never took his eye off the prize. That was his baby.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, because I mean, obviously, even now you guys are continuing on the legacy for him. So it's keeping it for Randy, Kevin, and him.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's going to be 50 years in a couple of years that original version. There's been so many different versions and whatnot that have really nothing to do with each other, but the legacy of it and what it stands for and what it helped do for the whole genre of 80s metal. I mean, you can't forget about that. And as long as people want to hear those songs, I mean, it takes them back to a certain time, and
Yeah, of
you
course.
know, I think you're going to see more and more bands kind of doing this because listen, people get old, people retire,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, but the music's meant to last. We aren't, but the music is.
Well, true, true. Music lasts
Yeah,
forever. It's like
yeah,
art. You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Now we know like a lot of metal bands obviously have gotten snubbed by the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Was it anything like did he ever talk about maybe like one day if Quiet Riot got accepted? Just because in my opinion they should, for the mere fact that they were the first heavy metal band to go number one on the
I,
Billboard.
I could see it. I don't. You never know. I mean, they're inducting Randy Rhoads this year. That's a step in the
That's
right
one step.
direction.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't. He never really mentioned it. I don't think he really cared. I mean, it's kind of like, what is it? What does being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame really mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
We all know what all the bands accomplished, but it'd be I'm sure it'd be honored, or it would be great for everything. But who knows? I mean, it's also political, and I'm not really sure I understand the whole Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing to begin with. But um, I mean, definitely when Jethro Tull won Best Heavy Metal at the Grammys or whatever, it
Yeah.
just goes to show you how detached some of these decision makers are to what really is going on out there.
No kidding. No kidding.
Yeah,
And they were for a
yeah.
little while in that and with that metal scene. And I still feel like, that 80s metal scene doesn't get the respect it
It
deserves.
never it never will. I mean, Frankie was such a great drummer too, but because he was lumped in with the 80s metal, you'll never get the respect you will if you're in a band like, say, King's X or King Crimson or Dream Theater. That's Muso band.
Yeah.
Poison, Motley Crue. I mean, that's not for other musicians. That's those. That's fluff. And that's unfortunately a lot of great players get lumped into that. But hey,
Yeah.
listen, I mean, I'm sure Nuno Betancourt, who's an amazing guitar player, doesn't mind those
Yeah.
royalty checks from More Than Words.
Oh, of course. Of course.
Yeah. So you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. You've worked with a ton of musicians. I mean, you've worked with some of the best, like Bang Tango. You've worked with Fred Curry, I know that, and John Corabi. I've seen.
Yeah.
Um, how like what are the like how have you taken all of those times that you spent with them and used them in your career?
Well, I always I mean, Kevin Dubrow taught me when I first met him. He goes, just pay attention to all this around you, because I was a lot younger. I was 25 years old, and I'm watching these guys that have done it for real, done it, not
Yeah.
a guy at Berkeley College of Music telling you how he might have done it. The guys that really did it.
Yeah.
You can't see their walls in their house as a cover of platinum albums. And you listen, just to be a sponge. Listen, take it all in. Listen to what they. I've always tried to take away, something from each session I do or project I do with some of these guys, because they're learning from you at the same time too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, if you never stop learning, you never stop getting better.
True.
There's no ceiling with this kind of stuff for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I got to ask you, because I've asked musicians this plenty of times and I get sort of the same answers, but if memory serves me correct, you're also a tour manager. Oh, no, booking agent.
I work part-time for a booking agency, when I can. This
Yeah.
year has been really tough, but yeah, I mean, it's a part-time thing. Yeah. Just because, during the week, we all just do weekend fly dates during the week. I'm off. And if I can make some extra money by booking and, establishing relationships with talent buyers, it just furthers everything that I'm involved in and makes it better. It's good to
Yeah.
have, you got to multitask. You can't be just a guitar player anymore. You can't be just you gotta be able to multitask, because the days of traveling with a 20-person crew and a jet and 2 buses are over.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
But how has COVID affected you both ways?
well, I mean, it's to cancel the year's worth of shows, and it made people kind of rethink large crowds, but it's coming back. I mean, we played last weekend 10,000 people, and it was asses to elbows.
Oh, nice, nice.
So it was a big festival outdoor thing in South Dakota with us and Kicks and Rat. They were
Oh,
packed,
nice.
you know.
Yeah. How was it playing with Rat?
It was great. Those, I mean, what a catalog of songs, and Juan, super nice, Steven, super nice, and the new kid they got on guitars, he crushes it. He's great, Jordan.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're great. It's a great combination. You know, it's nothing but the hits. You know.
Yeah, and it's another band that I always felt never got the respect either.
But they're still playing and making money. I mean, that right there is respect, you know.
No, true. But I mean, like, if you think about it, like,
Oh yeah, they were a lot bigger than people remember. I mean, they were big. I mean, all those bands. I mean, but yeah, it's funny. You'll see bands in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that never did stadium tours, but then you'll see bands in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that barely got past clubs.
yeah,
So
yeah,
who know? Who know? There's no rhyme or reason to it, and you know,
true,
who knows?
true.
But I can tell you this much: they're going to start running out of people to induct because there hasn't been too much longevity for the past 20 years. You know.
Well, that's the thing. So, and you've been in the scene, so you know better than like, how is it that we get these bands from the 80s that are still going strong, but then yet we're getting bands today that just aren't lasting?
Because well, I can tell you right now why. Because labels don't do artist development anymore. They throw it against the wall. If it doesn't immediately sell, they pick up something else. That, I mean, Appetite for Destruction came out. It took a year to get that thing to number one, and Geffen pumped money into it and put tour support and kept those guys out there, built the story. They developed Guns N' Roses' career. They didn't put out Welcome to the Jungle. It didn't hit number one and go somewhere else. They waited. They worked them. They spent money on them.
Yeah.
Now there's no money being changed. No one pays music anymore, so there's no money coming in to spend on developing an artist.
True.
So, you know, now it's really, you know, all about touring and how many social media followers you have, which is great. You got 1 million followers on Instagram, but does that translate to ticket sales?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
Exactly.
You know.
But let me ask you, is this something, because we know, you know, it's been like, I don't know, 20 plus years, but I feel this is something that the record industry could have avoided if they had just caught on with the whole downloading and digital age.
Yeah. I mean, Metallica was right, 100%. They were 100% right.
You know what I mean? And they were giving Lars shit for a long time for that.
Yeah. But he dead on.
Yeah, he was looking out for you guys. You know what I mean? And look at it now. The industry is like, I don't want to say, maybe it is falling apart in a way, because
I think the industry right now is going through a metamorphosis because all these new digital platforms and streaming, and it'll eventually figure out a way to, you know, I mean, I saw a thing with the owner of Spotify, the CEO of Spotify, complaining there wasn't enough new content coming in from bands. Well, dude, it costs money to create music, and if you're not paying back for it, we're not going to make any more. Yeah. What's the point? You know? Yeah, I love creating art and everything, but it's my job. It's a business. True. You know. True. And I'm not your indentured servant just to give you music to, you know. I mean, you spend it 100,000 times, and I can go buy a cup of coffee. Great, thanks, buddy.
I know.
So,
I think
it'll work itself out somehow. It's just a weird time right now.
Yeah, I heard something. I don't know how I don't know the whole story, but I know Dee Snider recently commented saying it was kind of a laugh at the royalty checks that, you know, he's getting.
Yeah, it's definitely, when you see the amount of spins, which, you know, are a respectable amount for certain songs, and the amount of money it comes down to. I mean, Desmond Child, I think, got for 1 billion spins or 500 million spins of Living on a Prayer, he got like under 30 grand, something like that. Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. So, but hey, you know what? It'll work. Like I said, it's not my circus, not my monkeys, as they say, and I'm just enjoying playing guitar, you know?
Yeah. Yep. No, I hear you there, brother. So, future plans, when can we expect Hookers and Blow on the road?
Whenever Quiet Riot and GNR and everybody else isn't working, and that's very rare right now. So probably I'd say maybe a couple shows towards the end of the year and early next year, possibly.
How do you guys balance that out? I mean, obviously being in, like, you know, Quiet Riot and then trying to
it's very hard. We just keep, I mean, usually we play around the holidays because everyone's home. That's about it. We'll squeeze in a weekend here, a weekend there, but I mean, you know, I mean, it's tough. I mean, it's really hard to get. I mean, we're 4 we're all very blessed to be working right now. So, Hookers and Blows kind of like a camping trip, really.
Okay.
So we can all, it's kind of like that. Whenever everyone's available, we'll go do it.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to thank you for coming on the show. You were a great.
Oh, thank you.
And everybody go out, get Hookers and Blow August 13th if you want the physical copy. If you want to listen to it now,
you can pre-order the physical now too as well.
Definitely. And if you want to listen to it, it's available on Spotify, everywhere, digitally, basically.
Yep.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.